height challenged. I'm Sue Walton, and welcome to Fairfield Friends on this first Sunday of June. We're celebrating a lot of things, including our pastor and his wife's 40th wedding anniversary. Do I understand? Yes, he didn't buy her another diamond. I mean, we don't pay him enough. So, think about that. Pitches are pitches. We need to get her another diamond. So, of course, she's got a diamond in the rough right back there. So, with that, we need to start with singing. But first, turn off your cell phones. Put them to airplane mode so the people on Zoom can hear and understand what we're up to. Our song, we're going to begin with a hymn, and stand if you are able. Our mighty fortress is our God. Do I have a song leader? Oh, don't ask me to sing, because I don't sing well.
Isn't that a good Lutheran song?
Mark, you going to do it? It's been, okay.
I forgot everything.
Yay. Oh, boy. Interesting centering thoughts based upon what Bill's going to talk about. I'm going to give you two comments from two diametrically opposite people, one being Andrew Carnegie and the other being Frederick Engels. From Andrew Carnegie on the word competition. And while the law of competition may sometimes be hard for the individual, it is best for the race because it assumes the survival of the fittest in every department. We accept and welcome, therefore, as conditions to which we must accommodate ourselves, great inequality of environment, the concentration of business, industrial and commercial, in the hands of a few, and the law of competition between these as being not only beneficial, but essential for the future of the progress of the race. That was something that Mr. Carnegie wrote in 1889. About the same time, Frederick Ingalls wrote in The Condition of the Working Class in England, competition is the most extreme expression of that of war against all, which dominates modern middle-class history.
Good morning. I am Joanne Gulley, and I am co-clerk with Becky Horton of the Outreach Committee. And our Outreach Committee, we try to focus on local, national, and international organizations to disperse the money that is brought in to Fairfield. One of our organizations that we have supported for quite a while now is an organization called COCO-DA. And Jim Mulholland, who happens to be Philip's best friend, is the director of COCO-DA. And Jim is with us this morning to talk about he did chat room, and it was amazing, by the way. He's going to give a short description of the scholarship program that is administered by COCO-DA to send students from Nicaragua to university. So Jim's going to come up and talk about that, and then I will give a little wrap up real quick. Jimbo?
Thanks, Joanne. And first off, I want to say all the stories that Phil tells about his friend Jim, they're all made up, okay? They didn't really happen, so. Oh boy, we're in trouble today. So I get up this morning and I open the New York Times, and the front page shows a young lady, looks like she might be a teenager, in the Amazon. And it says, the internet's final frontier, remote Amazon tribes of Brazil. And I didn't know whether to be happy for them or sad, that they're getting this cell phone, because my experience in Central America is that the cell phone is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it does open the world to these people. I mean, they have access to everything you and I have access to. The negative is they also become extremely aware of the inequities and how so many others have far more resource than they do. I think that's why programs like the Young World Dreamers program, which you support, is so important. This program provides education to 20 young people from very rural communities in Nicaragua so that they can go to university, they can get an education, they can expand their world. One of the things I learned, and it should have been obvious, but it took me going to these countries and to realize this, is that genius and creativity and curiosity and networking ability, all of these things that are qualities of human life, are equally distributed around the world. So there's just as many people in these remote villages with those capacities as there are in our communities. The only thing that's not equally distributed is power and resource. And so one of the great things about programs like this is it gives us an opportunity to take some of our resource and provide it to those who don't have it. So through this program and many other programs, there's about 100 kids in Central America that are going to college right now or completing high school in a few circumstances. and beginning to see their dreams come true so that when they look at their cell phones, which most of them still have, and see this world that's out there that seems beyond their comprehension, that it's a possibility. And you know, it doesn't take very much money. The whole program in Nicaragua takes about $6,000 a year. You can't send one college student in the United States to school for $6,000 a year. Recently, one of our co-workers down in Nicaragua, Freddie, contacted me and told me the story. He said Anna had come in. Anna is going to med school in the University of Leon in Nicaragua. And she had come in to pick up the stipend that she gets each month, and he had given her the money, and she'd given him a big hug and just started tearing up and said, you know, Freddie, without this money, this would be impossible for me. You know how much we're giving her? $40 a month. That's all it takes to make her dreams come true. That's all it's taking to create a doctor in Nicaragua. So I want to thank you so much for your past support. You've been so supportive, and I thank you for that continued support as we make these dreams come true. And if you'd like to see some videos of these young people, if you go to our YouTube channel, kokoda.youtube, you can find lots of videos. I showed one of those this morning where these students tell some of their stories, and they are powerful stories. So thank you so much.
One thing Jim kind of implied, university for these students is free. What this money provides is their money for transportation, their supplies, their books, their food, because most of these kids go to school on the weekends and sometimes during the week. So this is what we are providing for these students for $25 a month, right? For most of them. And so for $250 a year, we can make a difference in a student's life, their families, and their communities. If you are interested in supporting this work, you can write a check to Outreach, just write it to Fairfield Outreach, and put COCODA in the memo section. And I think you can put it in the baskets, or you can give it to me, Becky Horton, or Steve Kirchhoff, or Sue Walton. Oh, and Ann's here. Right. You can give it to any of us. We'll make sure it gets to the right place. But for $25 a month, we can lift a community out of poverty. Thank you.
And our unspoken goal, and now since I'm saying it, it will be spoken, is to fund this program in its entirety this year,
Right.
as a congregation.
Right.
So
$6,000.
yeah, $6,000. Yeah, which would either buy a nice motorcycle or send these kids to college. So let's do the right and good thing and send these kids to school.
Diamonds. Diamonds. Diamonds in the rough. It's now time for announcements, and we're going to go to the people on Zoom. Anybody have any? Teresa?
Yes, I want to point out that this June, on the very last week in June, this is our week to support the Family Promise Program, which continues throughout the year, but we provide support 4 times a year. And what we're doing is feeding the families that are in the Almost Home homeless shelter and restocking the resource center. And I have put a schedule on the wall on the way to the cafeteria if anyone wants to sign up early, but we have several weeks that we'll be gathering meals and items for restocking the center. And I always appreciate everybody's help in getting these this pledge filled every quarter. So thank you very much.
Anybody else on Zoom? Okay, here in the meeting house. I'm going to, while since we're doing a pitch for Family Promise for Ann, and we know that we have people on the south side, and we give her food, but we also need bags like these. So if you've got some extra bags, if you've got extra sheets, put them also in the basket the next time you're here. People come, she was saying that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, could you use some sheets? And she said, yeah. But she didn't know that the next week she was going to need them. The sheets are in our closet ready to go. So anything that you have just see Ann Gauthier, and she can tell you what she might need. But the other day, a couple weeks ago, she had no bags. I said, oh, bags. We will get reusable bags from trade shows. So please do that. Anybody else? Somebody else?
This is Bill Smith, and today is Ice Cream Social. Everybody knows about the Ice Cream Social, I hope, but we're going to have an open house in the 1892 Meeting House, and it's an opportunity for people to see the building, and if they want to have something as a memory, to tell us what it is, so that we can try and figure out how we're going to get that to you. So I'm going to be over there for everybody to come and visit the 1892 Meeting House.
This is Sarah Lookaville, and I'm up here. I don't like to look at people's backs when I'm making an announcement because I want to make sure you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, tomorrow is the last day to turn in a reservation for the women's group June luncheon, and it will be on June 27th at 11:30 at Ms. B's Tea Room in Clayton. And you don't have to be a regular attender of the group. You just have to be available that day. But you need to let either Carol, way over there in that far corner, or me know by tomorrow if you want to attend. Now, I know this is limited to women, but if a husband wants to take his wife there, you guys can eat at Stack's Pancake House, which is right around the corner where the Clayton Cafe was. So if you guys want to have a luncheon, you can have one too. Anyhow, if you need a ride, you need to let us know that too. And I will have them send out an email that has our contact information and the address. So you should get that tomorrow or Tuesday. And if the email doesn't go out till Tuesday, that's fine. Let us know on Tuesday. Thanks.
Joanne Gulley again. The folks that are in book club, we are meeting next Sunday after worship. Pack your little lunch. I'll send out an email to let you know which chapters we're reading because I don't remember. But be looking for that and hope you can make it.
Anybody else? Laura. We need to get whoever has the microphone a set of roller skates or maybe a skateboard, except we might go through the roof or the wall.
Good morning, this is Laura Essex on behalf of the Christian Ed Committee. I'd like to announce our Malloy Fund Scholarship winner. Araya, would you come join me, please? So this year, we picked Araya Smith as our recipient. She attended Plainfield High School with a GPA of 4.7, which is pretty astronomical, I think. Her class rank was 15 out of 434 people. So she'll be attending the Kelley School of Business at IU, and from there she plans to attend law school and become an attorney. So congrats, Araya. We're happy to help you in this small way, and best of luck.
We are having a writing group today at 1 o'clock after we eat. So please come join us if you're interested.
We are grateful this morning for those people whose lives have been dedicated to the enrichment and betterment of others. It is so easy to care for those we know and love, those with whom our relationships are reciprocal and mutual. But how good it is to extend a hand to those who cannot pay us back, who cannot do for us what we have done for them, save give us the pleasure of knowing that we have helped. So, oh God, today our hearts are grateful for those who labor with no expectation of return except the joy of helping others. May all our world be so. We remember this morning those who struggle with health challenges, who lack the resources they need to live fruitful lives. May we always, O God, see our wealth as that which is held in common, so that our hearts might always bend toward generosity, that we might do for others what you have so graciously done for us. For the blessings of this beautiful world, for hope and faith and love, oh God, we are this morning profoundly and deeply grateful. Amen. Well, I was sitting there thinking about Dick and Pauline Given, thinking about their grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are with us this morning. That's you, buddy. That's right. And I got to thinking what a joy it would have been for Dick and Pauline to have seen their great-grandchildren gather food for us today. So, Michael and the Smith daughters, can you do this for us, please? You got the wagon? Oh my, well, so good to be here. Thank you, Mark, for covering last week so that I could be with my wife down at the farm. 40 years, if we make it to 130, it'll be 40 years. And 4.7? My gosh. Now, this isn't known by many people, but I graduated from college with a 4.8, but it was a 12-point scale. So I stand in awe of your accomplishments. Oh my. Mostly I liked school for the friendships. All my friends were at school, and I'd wake up and I couldn't wait to get to school to see my friends. I remember my best friend in 6th grade was a boy named Joe Bryant, who was a Jehovah's Witness, and I was still a Catholic, and I believed Joe was going to hell. So made it my purpose in life to point out the errors of his religion and convert him to the one true church, which happened to be the church I attended. As it turns out, Joe felt the same way about his faith, so even as I was trying to convince him to join the one true church, he was doing the same to me. The odds, of course, were in my favor. Catholics celebrating birthdays and Christmas, and Jehovah's Witnesses not. Plus, I told him, we Catholics have devised the best religious system ever devised. We could do anything we wanted so long as we went to confession every week. While I later learned that wasn't exactly true, I believed it to be true and almost had Joe talked into visiting the one true church with me, but then he and his family moved away and I never saw him again. But I think of him often, Joe, all these years later, and remember our playground disputes, each of us zealously defending a faith we had no say in joining. Despite the differences in our faith, Joe and I both learned the one truth common to most faiths, that religion at its heart was adversarial. That for my religion to be right, all others were necessarily wrong. And that it was my job, nay, my sacred duty, to tell them so. The founder of Quakerism, George Fox, believed this so deeply, so fervently, he made it his custom to visit other churches where he would stand and interrupt the sermon and argue with the minister. This often ended in his arrest, which in his mind only verified the veracity of his beliefs, it being common among fanatics to believe any difficulty they suffer is an indication of God's favor. Since we've been diligent in our praise of Quakerism, it behooves us to acknowledge our shortcomings, hence this sermon series that we've called, What in the World Were We Thinking? Today, I would add to our list the tendency of early friends to believe our relationship with other faiths was primarily adversarial. We believed that for us to be right, others had to be wrong, and it was our sacred duty to inform them of their error. Shortly after our founding, when Quakers were beginning to flock to America and experiencing persecution and even death, the founder of Rhode Island, the Baptist Roger Williams, promised Quakers they could find freedom in the colony of Rhode Island, and so Quakers flocked there. Despite Roger Williams' hospitality to us, George Fox wrote a triumphalistic pamphlet pointing out all the theological errors of Roger Williams and the Baptist faith. The pamphlet was called The Boasting Baptist Badly Beaten. And this is how we treated our protectors. What in the world were we thinking? I'll mention Jim Mulholland since he's with us this morning. When Jim and I met in seminary, he was an American Baptist minister, pastoring eventually, pretty quickly after we started in seminary, a United Methodist church, Victory United Methodist in Fountain Square. And I was determined, as I got to know Jim better, to make him a Quaker, because, you know, I thought we were the one true church. And so I had a copy of the Journal of George Fox, which I gave him, urging him to read it, convinced it would cause him to see the light and become a Quaker. How could he not? So he read it and then gave it back to me, and I asked him, what did you think of that? Wasn't that George Fox just amazing? And Jim, who had majored in psychology in college, said, honestly, I think he was nuts. When I pointed out that the word nuts could not be found in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, he nevertheless insisted that George Fox was 2 eggs short of a dozen. Now, some 36 years later, I find myself agreeing. There is something nutty when we require others to be wrong so we can be right. There's something nutty about that. But with a few exceptions, this mindset is endemic to religion. We can fill a stadium or win public office denouncing people of other faiths when interfaith gatherings can't fill a conference room at the Holiday Inn. There is something about us that causes us to fear and even despise those who think differently. What is it about religion that makes our relationship so adversarial, so antagonistic? Can it be religion's tendency to deal in absolutes, in certainties, which always, you have noticed, leave little room for cooperation and mutuality? Here's what I've been thinking. If religion is the vehicle for our moral growth, and this is what most religions claim to be, the arbiter of morality, and we embrace that role. We took our children to church so they could learn a moral code. So if religion is the means by which we morally evolve, doesn't it stand to reason that religion itself should morally evolve by growing out of its sectarian, absolutist tendencies and move toward a more tolerant humanism? What would this look like? Perhaps like this. We would no longer have as our goal the pleasing of God. This is what drives this all the time. I want to please God. I want to find God's favor. So I will believe the right thing, and I will let those who don't believe the right thing, I will let them know of their error. But what would happen if we no longer had as our goal the pleasing of God, whom we cannot see, whom no one has ever seen, but instead would have as our goal the betterment of our fellow humans, whom we do see, whom we do experience every day of our lives? If this were our goal, religion would no longer be adversarial, but cooperative. We would not concern ourselves with the perceived errors and heresies of others, but would keep our eyes peeled for beauty, for truth, wherever they were found, with no regard for their origins. we wouldn't hear something beautiful and dismissive out of hand because it didn't come from us or our kind. I have little interest in any religion whose chief goal is the triumphant conquest of other faiths. Such religions will be the death of us all. But I am very interested in any social movement that fosters and promotes mutuality, compassion, and our ethical evolution. I'll tell you what I believe. I believe that God is never found in our ultimatums, in our final and uncompromising assertions. I believe God is found in our curiosity, in our wonder, in our heartfelt desire to learn not just from those who most resemble us, but especially from those who don't. If hearts are clear, let us stand and sing together our closing song. Sing joyfully, number 153. Suleiman family with us. And I wonder if the Suleimans could come forward. and stand with me for a moment. I won't put you on the spot except to invite you to come stand here. If you don't know the Suleimans, they came here from Syria years ago. How many years has it been now? 8 years? Okay, 8 years. 8 years. Are expecting another child on September 7th, a little boy. So I will speak and I will let you interpret to your parents so they can know what I'm saying, because I want them to hear that. I spoke in my sermon about things that I learned from people who aren't like me. And one of the things that I have learned from you is courage.
He said he has also learned a lot from you guys, and especially from you, optimism.
Wow. So you left your home and you came here and you didn't know the language, you didn't have jobs, and look at you. Your children are excelling in school, you have work and a beautiful home filled with love, and you have friends. You have taught me to be courageous. I'm telling you this as someone who has never left my hometown.
بالشعوري ما في زمن فترة كتير التوتر وقلق بفضلي وبفضلي مساعدة وترجيش المرحلة كأنه نعم تقدر في زمن.
He said despite all the challenges and stress, thanks to you guys, he was also able to move forward, and he has also learned so much from you guys.
Blessings.
Yeah, we came here thinking that there's nobody was gonna be here. We were just gonna be alone in the airport, come here, and then we came and we saw all of you guys. And
With our big sign.
yes. He also says congratulations on your anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Not yet. Well, thank you for what you've taught us. Yes. We are grateful for your lives.
Thank you so much for everything.
Turn and greet, friends.